Most people don't fail because they're stupid. They don't fail because they're unlucky. They don't fail because life is unfair. They fail because they stay comfortable for too long. Right now, somewhere in America, a young man is scrolling his phone, telling himself, I'll start tomorrow. An older man is sitting in silence, thinking about all the chances he never took. And a woman with incredible potential is doubting herself, shrinking her voice, waiting for permission that will never come. Different lives, same outcome. Average, and the scary part, they don't even realize it's happening. Average doesn't feel like failure. It feels safe. It feels normal. It feels acceptable. That's the trap, because average is not a sudden decision. It's a slow process, a quiet surrender, a daily pattern of small choices that look harmless, but cost everything. You don't wake up one day and decide to waste your life. You wake up and choose comfort. You choose distraction. You choose later. And then one day, later becomes never. The truth is, most people are addicted, not to drugs, not to alcohol, but to comfort. Comfort is the most dangerous addiction in the modern world. It whispers, relax, you deserve this. It tells you, you've done enough. It convinces you, you'll do it tomorrow. But tomorrow never fights back. Tomorrow never demands discipline. Tomorrow is where dreams go to die. Look at the young man again. He has energy, ambition, dreams bigger than his reality. But every day he trades hours for entertainment. Short videos, endless scrolling, temporary dopamine. He says he wants success, but his actions say he wants comfort. And comfort always wins unless you fight it. Now look at the older man. He once had fire. He once had ideas. But life happened. Responsibilities came. Fear grew louder than ambition. He didn't fail overnight. He slowly lowered his standards, slowly accepted less, slowly became someone he never planned to be. And now, he lives with regret, not because he tried and failed, but because he never fully tried at all. And then there's the woman, smart, capable, powerful, but trapped in overthinking. She waits for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect version of herself, but perfection is just fear in disguise. So she delays. She hesitates. She stays invisible. And the world never sees what she was truly capable of. This is how average is created, not by lack of talent, but by lack of action, not by lack of opportunity, but by lack of courage. Most people don't realize this. Success is not about doing extraordinary things. It's about doing ordinary things consistently when you don't feel like it. That's where people break, because discipline is uncomfortable, growth is uncomfortable, change is uncomfortable, and most people would rather stay the same than feel uncomfortable. But here's the truth that changes everything. Your future is built on what you do when you don't feel like doing anything. That moment, when you're tired, distracted, lazy, that's the moment that defines your life. That's where winners separate themselves, because winners don't wait for motivation. They don't wait for the perfect mood. They don't wait for inspiration. They act anyway. The average person says, I'll do it when I feel ready. The successful person says, I'll feel ready after I start. That one shift changes everything. Now imagine this. The young man puts his phone down. Just once. Just for an hour. He works. He learns. He builds something. It doesn't feel amazing. It feels hard, but it's real. Do that every day, and his life changes. The older man makes one decision. He stops blaming the past. He starts using his experience instead of regretting it. He begins again, and suddenly, it's not too late. The woman stops waiting for perfect. She takes imperfect action. She speaks. She creates. She shows up. And the world starts noticing. This is the difference. Not talent, not luck. Action, massive, consistent, uncomfortable action. Most people stay average because they underestimate small daily decisions. They think success is one big moment. It's not. It's waking up early when you don't want to. It's working when no one is watching. It's staying focused when everything is trying to distract you. It's doing the boring work over and over again. That's what builds extraordinary lives. But most people won't do it because it's not exciting. It's not glamorous. It's not instant. And in a world addicted to instant results, patience feels like punishment. But patience is power. If you can stay consistent while others quit, you win. If you can stay focused while others get distracted, you win. If you can keep going while others give up, you win. It's that simple. Not easy, but simple. The problem is, most people are playing the short game. They want quick success, quick money, quick results. So when it doesn't happen, they quit. But the real game is long term. The real game is who you become. Because success is not something you chase. It's something you attract by becoming the kind of person who deserves it. Stronger, more disciplined, more focused. That's the real work. And most people avoid it. They look for shortcuts. They look for hacks. They look for easier paths. But there is no shortcut to becoming powerful. There is no hack to building discipline. There is no easy way to greatness. And that's why most people never reach it. But you're different. Because you're here. Listening. Thinking. Questioning. That's where it starts. Awareness. Once you see the pattern, you can break it. Once you understand the trap, you can escape it. But only if you act. Because knowledge without action is useless. You can listen to 1,000 motivational speeches. Read 100 books. Watch endless videos. And still stay exactly where you are. Because nothing changes until you do. So here's the question. Are you going to stay comfortable? Or are you going to grow? Are you going to keep waiting? Or are you going to start? Are you going to be average? Or are you going to demand more from yourself? Because the truth is, no one is coming to save you. No perfect moment is coming. No sudden motivation is coming. No magical opportunity is coming. It's on you. Your life. Your responsibility. And that might sound heavy, but it's actually power. Because if it's your responsibility, it means it's your choice. You can change. You can improve. You can build something better. Starting today. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Now. Take control of your time. Take control of your habits. Take control of your life. Because average is a choice. And so is greatness. And the only thing standing between you and the life you want is what you do next. This is the motivational audiobook spot. If this message woke something up inside you, don't ignore it. Act on it. Because this moment, right now, could be the moment everything changes. The moment you decide to change, everything will push back. Not just the world. Your own mind. Because your brain is designed to keep you safe, not successful. Safe means familiar. Safe means predictable. Safe means staying exactly where you are. So the second you try to level up, resistance appears. You'll feel tired for no reason, distracted for no reason, doubtful for no reason. That's not weakness. That's your old identity fighting for survival, because for years, maybe your entire life, you've trained yourself to be average, not intentionally, but through habits. You trained yourself to quit when things get hard. You trained yourself to avoid discomfort. You trained yourself to choose easy over necessary. And now, when you try to change, your mind says, no. It says, this isn't who we are. And that's the real battle. Not against the world, against yourself. The version of you that wants comfort versus the version of you that wants greatness. And only one wins. Most people lose this fight quietly. They don't announce it. They don't admit it. They just go back to old habits, back to old routines, back to average, and they tell themselves a story to feel better. I'll try again next week. Now is not the right time. I need to figure things out first. But those are not reasons. They're excuses dressed as logic. And the longer you repeat them, the more real they feel. Until one day, you believe them completely. That's how people get stuck for years. Not because they can't move forward, but because they keep justifying why they don't. Now think about this. Every time you say later, you are reinforcing a pattern. Every time you avoid something hard, you're training your brain to escape. And every time you escape, you become weaker. Not physically, mentally. Because discipline is like a muscle. If you don't use it, it disappears. That's why average people struggle with consistency. Not because they lack ability, but because they've never trained discipline long enough to make it automatic. But here's the good news. It works both ways. Just like you trained yourself to be average, you can train yourself to be powerful. One decision at a time, one action at a time, one uncomfortable moment at a time. That's how transformation happens. Not in one big breakthrough, but in small daily battles. And those battles are invisible. No one claps when you wake up early. No one celebrates when you stay focused. No one notices when you push through resistance. But those are the moments that build you. That's where identity is created. Because you don't become confident by thinking about confidence. You become confident by doing things that require courage. You don't become disciplined by watching motivation. You become disciplined by doing what you said you would do, even when you don't feel like it. That's the standard. And most people never reach it, because they rely on feelings. They say, I don't feel motivated today. I'm not in the mood. I'll do it when I have more energy. But feelings are unreliable. They change constantly. If you build your life on feelings, your results will always be unstable. That's why successful people build systems, not motivation. Systems remove emotion from the equation. You don't ask, do I feel like it? You ask, is this what I do? And if the answer is yes, you do it. No debate, no negotiation. That's power. Now imagine a life like that, where your actions are not controlled by mood, but by standards, where you don't need motivation, because discipline carries you, where you don't overthink, because you've already decided who you are. That's the shift from emotional living to intentional living. And once you make that shift, everything changes. Your time becomes valuable, your focus becomes sharp, your energy becomes directed, and suddenly progress feels inevitable. But here's where most people get it wrong. They try to change everything at once. Wake up at 5 a.m., go to the gym, start a business, read books, eat healthy, all in one day. And for a few days, maybe even a week, they do it. Then they crash. Because they relied on motivation, not structure, not identity. Real change is slower, but stronger. You don't need to do everything. You need to do something. Consistently. Start small, but stay consistent. Because consistency beats intensity. Every time. A person who works 1 hour every day for a year will outperform someone who works 10 hours randomly. Why? Because repetition builds identity. And identity drives behavior. So instead of asking, what should I do? Ask, who am I becoming? Because once you define that, your actions become obvious. If you are someone who is disciplined, you act disciplined. If you're someone who is focused, you act focused. If you're someone who refuses to be average, you act accordingly. That's how you break the cycle. You stop negotiating with your old self, and you start building a new one. But understand this, there will be days when you fail, days when you slip, days when you go back to old habits. That's part of the process. The difference is, you don't stay there. Average people fall and stop. Successful people fall and adjust. They don't make it emotional. They don't make it dramatic. They just get back on track immediately. Because the goal is not perfection. The goal is progress. And progress compounds. A small improvement today leads to a bigger result tomorrow, and over time, that becomes a completely different life. That's how people escape average. Not by doing something extreme once, but by doing something intentional every single day. So the next time you feel resistance, don't run from it. Recognize it, understand it, and move anyway. Because that resistance is the doorway to your next level. And most people will turn away from it. But you won't, because now you know. This is the motivational audiobook spot. And if you're still listening, you're not here by accident. You're here because a part of you is ready to change. So don't ignore that voice. Feed it, act on it, and keep going, no matter how uncomfortable it feels. Because on the other side of that discomfort is the life most people will never have. At some point, it stops being about motivation. It becomes about reality. Because sooner or later, life will show you the truth. Not the version you tell yourself, not the excuses you've been repeating, but the raw, undeniable result of your daily choices. And that moment hits different. It hits when the young man looks around and realizes everyone else is moving forward. People he started with are building careers, making money, growing, and he's still in the same place. Same habits, same routine, same excuses. That's when it starts to hurt. Not because life is unfair, but because deep down he knows he could have done more. Then there's the older man, the one who told himself, I still have time. Until one day, time feels different, energy is lower, opportunities are fewer, regret is louder. He doesn't just think about what he did wrong. He thinks about what he never did at all, the risks he didn't take, the chances he avoided, the life he postponed, and that weight stays with him. Not for a day, not for a week, for years. And then there's the woman. She finally sees someone else doing what she always wanted to do, speaking, building, leading, and it hits her. They're not more talented than me. They're not smarter than me. They just started. That realization cuts deep because it removes every excuse. It forces the truth into the light that the only thing standing in the way was hesitation. This is the moment most people try to avoid, the moment of truth, because it's uncomfortable. It challenges your identity. It breaks your illusions. It forces you to take responsibility. But this moment is also your opportunity, because once you see clearly, you can't unsee it. You either change or you accept average forever. There is no in between, and that's where real transformation begins, not when you feel inspired, but when you get tired of your own excuses. When you look at your life and say, this is not enough. Not in a negative way, but in a powerful way. A way that pushes you forward instead of holding you back. Because dissatisfaction, when used correctly, becomes fuel. It becomes the reason you wake up earlier, the reason you work harder, the reason you stop wasting time. But most people misuse it.